Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up over that. That's life.
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit happens.
But also, like, stand-up comedians make the craziest jokes. Like, I was in a comedy club, and they're already making jokes about Palestine. And
Of course. I mean, comedians make jokes, and rappers sing about murdering people. So it's completely a double standard to come along and say that whatever I said was enough reason for me to be canceled.
Well, that scares me, because censorship is the scariest thing to me
Bro,
in the world. At what point can we not worship our God?
My phone, the day the cancellation started, I'd open my phone, and app by app, one by one, logged out, logged out, logged out, logged out, logged out. And in sync, I was sitting there for 2 hours, and every 20 minutes, a new one would just log out.
Were you scared?
I knew the Matrix was real. I knew how the Matrix operated. I knew that there's
But were
a
you
centralized
scared?
power. I was scared because I knew I'd used up my first life. And then I started saying on all my podcasts, they're going to put me in jail for something I did not do. When that happens, you have to know it's a lie. And I said it about 15 times.
I remember I saw some clips like this on TikTok and on Instagram. He was basically saying it like they're gonna put me in jail. So a little bit coco.
And then 7 months later, I ended up in a cell. So I understand exactly how the world works. So yeah, I was scared. But I also believe, and I draw a lot of strength from my religion. We talk about God. I think God gives you strength. And I also believe one of the primary objectives of a religion, which ties back into what we were saying earlier about how the world could be fixed if men and women stay together and monogamy. I think the primary objective of a religion is to preserve a culture. If a religion doesn't preserve the culture, then it's failing in some regard. You should look at a religion and look at the culture underneath that religion and say, okay, it's a successful religion because the culture is adhering to its creeds. So I understand that it is my battle, if I believe in God, to try my best to preserve the culture. And then you're asking, how do I fight the Matrix? I think you fight that via masculine empowerment, and I'll tell you why. Because we were just sitting here talking about how the devil uses fear, and you're completely correct. And I think that women are easier to scare than men. And I think that now we live in a society, especially in the West, where women have been empowered.
This is not misogyny. This is not. If you follow the story of Adam and Eve, how Adam got out of the paradise, the devil couldn't whisper to him, so he went to his wife, and we all know the story. It doesn't matter, you Christian, Jew, Muslim. We all know the story how it went. So yeah, women can be weak in some point.
To the point, well, I'm not against female empowerment, I'm not a misogynist, but they've been empowered to the point where they're more powerful than men in most scenarios. They're more powerful than men in the divorce court, most powerful than men in the custody court, more powerful than men in terms of the education system, more powerful than men in terms of their testimony, more powerful than men. I'll give you endless examples. If 10 men get murdered, nobody cares. If 10 women get murdered, it's going to be a national news story for weeks. Their life is more valuable.
Of course they are more valuable.
It always has been because they can create life. My point is we now live in a society which I believe is a matriarchy. It's feminized. And men are feminized by extension. And men being feminized means that women are in charge and women are fearful. So let me give you a very simple example of why I believe masculine empowerment is how we actually get closer to God and how we fix the fight we're in against the matrix. COVID. COVID was emotional arguments. They came along and said, your grandma's going to die. The old people, your grandma. They used emotional.
When COVID started, in the beginning, I was super scared. To be honest, I'm speaking facts. I'm speaking truth also. I was super scared. I didn't get out of the house for 1 or 2 months. But I stay only training, like, doing some business online and training. So push up, you know what I mean? Like, and then I start going to play football again. But in the beginning, I get super scared. And then they block it for the 1 year. So in that 1 year, I searched some stuff in online and stuff. And then I decided to move to Ukraine because I couldn't stay all the time. Like all the time, the police ran after me. Here's another, money, pay money. I don't know how it was just crazy. So I decided to go to Ukraine. I met my wife. And then, yeah, now we are here in Germany.
Emotional arguments to create fear. That works on a woman. A woman sits there, I love my grandma. Most men would sit there and go, wait.
Let's just chill.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Grandma's already 94. Grandmas die. So I don't think we should be taking our kids out of school. Let's just calm down. Men are more stoic and more patient. If you had a household where the man's been feminized and the woman's in charge, it's over for that house. They're full COVID cucks head to toe. 10 vaccines. They are. If you had my household, where my girlfriend ran in, did you see the news? Shh. Shut up. That's just stupid.
Okay,
and
so-
then it's fixed.
so wait.
But no, but
That
this is the point. Fear. You're
Yes.
talking about fear. The devil using fear. Absolutely correct. How does he scare people? He scares cowards. He scares people who can't fight. He scares women. He scares people who are not prepared to stand up and resist. So masculine empowerment is absolutely and utterly how you battle the devil. You need men to be as strong and capable as possible.
Okay, this is a great pivot that I want to say. Everything you just said, I agreed with. Everything you just said, I agreed with. The only problem that I see is when you were like, shut up. Let me give you an example. Here's the reason why. Everything you just said was absolutely correct. And as a man, I could look at you, and if I had children, I'd be like, yo, listen to this man. He's being very, very correct. Now, my girl's going to be like, well, why did he just tell his girl to shut the fuck up? Like,
I said shush.
Yes. Okay, let me give you an
But I
example.
was dismissive with my hand.
No, I know, but you know what this means?
Flicking the...
Look at the person and be like, what the fuck? Why did you do this? Da, 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 da. He's going to be like, hey, it's okay. Look at me, grab my hand, come out.
Yep.
Why can't you take that approach?
I think I am. And it's actually funny when you say I lose to women, because I'll tell you something that most people probably do not know. I don't know if I've said it before. I have never had a negative interaction with a female ever since I blew up on the internet. I've not had a single woman complain at me.
I'm so sorry. Could you just use your mic?
Sure. I've never had a single woman come up to me and say anything bad. When I was in jail, I had thousands of love letters from women. I've never had a single woman complain about anything I say. Now, I agree. This dismissive, the diamonds, in the light, I get it.
Yeah.
Is it purposeful? I don't want to say it's purposeful. Do I find myself amusing? Certainly.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's funny.
But
It's
here's the
funny.
thing, we could take a joke and we could filter the bullshit.
Yeah.
But females, like you said, they're based off of emotions.
Correct.
They're gonna feel their emotions first and then react. Men are like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. Obviously, he's not gonna tell his girl to do that.
Yeah.
Most likely, the real
Yeah, that's
scenario
true.
is like,
That's
sweetheart,
true.
come
We
sit
know.
down. Everything's fine. Listen,
That's true. He knows that he's not gonna tell to his girlfriend like, shut the fuck up or fuck off. We know it's just sarcastic thing. When he do it, like it's just a joke. But like he says, women operate on emotion, so it's different. You need to have a different approach with them.
listen to me, I'm gonna protect you.
Absolutely.
So I'm just curious to know, why don't you just take that approach? Because I know you know what you're doing. You're a chess master. Every move you make, you're making it for a reason. Are you doing it to be polarizing?
There's no light without dark. And I think that...
Preach.
It's actually kind of interesting. I don't have many haters anymore. For a while I did. About a year ago, there was a big group of the internet that disliked me. Now I actually would argue I'm one of the most liked people on the internet.
I think people are waking up.
People, bro, if you read thousands of comments, they're all positive. I'm one of the most liked people on the internet, and I can give you reasons for why I believe that is. But the very few people left who try and dislike me, they fuel conversation, and it's interesting for them it's interesting for me to hear. It's interesting for there to be debates regarding things I say. But I don't think I try and be polarizing. I try to be abrasive because I grew up in a world where I was hit very hard by life, and I think life is abrasive, and I think you learn lessons with a degree of abrasiveness. I think if things are too soft and too well explained, you don't learn them. Yeah. And you can apply that to nearly anything, right? You can go driving your car and drive fast, and you can nearly lose the tires 10 times, but you're not going to stop driving like an idiot until you hit a tree. And then you're going to be like, okay, I've learned my lesson. Yeah. So perhaps when I display a point, if I have to self-analyze and answer your question as a professional, when I try and get a point across, if I can do something or say something which is a bit abrasive, I feel like it teaches better. I'll give an example. If I say women aren't very good at parking, as opposed to females have no spatial awareness. So it's the same thing, but one of them enrages the world. In fact, both of them make them mad, but the second one really makes them mad. Don't call women females. They hate that.
I don't.
Yeah, but I'm just warning you. But then they all get upset.
They actually get upset if you call them a female?
Absolutely. I sit on these panel shows with a bunch of women, and I'll say
What
something
do
I'll just say, well,
what do you respectfully call them?
Females. I just call them female.
No, I know, but if they get offended by that, then what do you call them?
Well, exactly. But this is my point. So I can decide how abrasive I want to be. You can say the same thing in different ways, and then you're asking me why am I abrasive to be deliberately polarizing? Because I feel like it gets my message across better. I feel like it gets my message across better. And even now, the thing I just said, which brought this whole point up, me saying shh and being dismissive was a small way of showing a larger meta point. And the meta point was, I'm uninterested in what you're about to say and your fear. And I'm uninterested in your fear.
I get this. And usually somebody with a logic understands this. Somebody who's probably grew up with humor understands this. Somebody who grew up with a good father understands this. So this is my thing. God made you a leader. 100%.
I'll take it.
Okay. And now you're leading men.
Yep.
But there's a huge crowd of people that you will never understand or touch because I feel pridefully you don't give a fuck. You're like, if you can't come on with me on this journey, then get the fuck bent. Literally, metaphorically, and physically.
Well, not all minds are ready to be freed. They say it inside of the movie.
But which one is valuable enough to be free? Christ saved everybody. He didn't just come and pick a couple people.
Absolutely, but you can lead a horse to water, or you cannot force it to drink. And I feel like the reason why I'm now one of the most liked people on the internet, and the reason my comments are so positive, I have to answer that question, is because I feel like I'm heavily leveraged against chaos. The thing is with my brand, I don't entertain. I do entertain, but that's not my purpose. I'm trying to teach people things. I'm trying to give them things. Even the things I sell are beneficial. I have a school that teaches people how to make money online. It's beneficial. If you follow me, you can make money online. You'll start to train and go to the gym. You'll listen to some positive motivational things. You'll feel more motivated. I'll try and guide you towards God. Either one. I'm not even strictly Islam. I believe that if you are a religious person, you're a better person regardless of the religion you choose.
Because you have to follow your morals and have boundaries.
Absolutely. So all of my messaging is positive. So as the world gets more messed up, I'm leveraged against chaos. As the world becomes a bigger mess, as people struggle to survive to pay their bills, as people become more and more unhappy, as the wars start, all this craziness, people sit there and go, do I want to be entertained by clowns? Do I want to watch these streamers who are clowns? Do I want to be entertained? Or do I want some form of stability? Who is saying things which can actually help me, which actually will directly impact my life in real time and make me feel better? Me. So I'm not an entertainer in that way, which is why I believe my brand has become so strong and why most people like me. And it's also why a lot of people will forgive me for being semi-abrasive, because I feel like as the world gets more messed up, which it is, people are going to learn some very abrasive, harsh lessons. And sometimes when you've gone through a very harsh lesson, to be given a solution which isn't harsh, you're not going to believe it. To be given a harsh solution makes you feel like, okay, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. I was on podcast very recently. I don't think it's even come out yet. And I was explaining to somebody, we were talking about depression, which everyone asked me about.
It's doing too much podcast.
I'm going to circle back to that. I have something in my notes for that.
Yeah, and I was saying that as a man, your life is supposed to be shit. My argument to this is people go, oh, I don't feel good. I say, good. Your life as a man is going to be terrible the entire time. Who told you at any point, I don't know what the Bible says. I haven't read it cover to cover like I've read the Quran. But I don't think the Bible says you're supposed to be happy all of the time. The Quran certainly doesn't.
Well, in Matthew, it says you're supposed to cast your anxiety and depression on them. So life isn't going to be easier, but you could go. Let me give you an example.
Sure.
When Jesus was walking on the water, this is the example I say. When a storm hits, the storm is still hitting.
Yep.
But there's a difference from you drowning in the storm or standing above the storm.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're always going to have challenges and obstacles.
Storms are going to come.
But I guarantee you, there's obstacles that you could walk through with a smile on your face that another man could fall apart.
You know, I will talk about this one really quick, even though I'm tired, but I'm going to talk about it very quick. I'm trying to make it short as I can. So I remember when I went to Ukraine, I moved my family, my father helped me with the money. So I moved, I started studying there, working. It's a little bit struggle. I struggle only with work. It's not struggle with, you know what I mean? Like struggling. I struggle with documents and work. That's all. And then I told my father, like, I cannot become someone. Like I'm not feeling like I'm gonna become someone or I'm gonna do something with my life. Like it's gonna be worth me remembering. I said that's not. And then I told him because I don't have a history. I just went from Algeria to Ukraine, just changed the country. What's going on? Just from the idea I find work, I'm studying. And then the war happened in Ukraine. Well, it's bad, but in all cases. And then it went crazy how I slept outside and I didn't eat for days. I walked for days. I moved, changed the whole. I start all over again with nothing, with no money. And then I start telling the story to my father and he says, you have a history now, so you can go and make your self-remembering. Yeah. You need to have a history. You need to have chaos in your life. Even if you don't want it, it's going to happen to you.
Just because you believe in me, you think you're not going to be tested.
I think being tested is a great thing for
That's
you.
how God shows love.
Yeah.
Because because God's love is a disciplinarian love. It's a masculine love. It's like a father. A father shows love through putting you on the bike, letting you fall over, letting you hurt your knee, picking you back up, putting you back on the bike. That's how a father shows love, and God is the same.
Your father used to push you down when you used to be a kid.
That's right.
And your mom used to be upset about this. Let's time travel back to you as a child.
Sure.
Because I feel like what made you who you are now is based mostly off of how you were raised.
Absolutely.
Take me back.
Yeah, I think I had the best possible upbringing a person can have, which is good parents and no money. I didn't get famous or rich young, which I also thank the Lord for. I think a lot of these people who get famous online quite early, I think they miss out a lot of life.
It's not real life.
It's not real life.
It's not real life.
No, I had real jobs and I did real things and I was really broke and I was really on the bus and really trying to pay rent and doing real stuff for a long time.
I wrote a line in here, and I think you could relate to it. A poor man is broke. A rich man is broken. So if you're broke, you could figure out a way to be rich. But if you were given everything and you don't know how to manage this life, you're broken and you don't feel like you've earned anything. I've met more depressed rich men than I've met depressed broke men.
It's amazing you say that because there's two answers to that. My first one is, I love that you say that because I always say, I'm not rich. I'm a poor man with a lot of money. I always used to say that. And I don't want to brag or anything, but just because I get asked this question a lot. I've been extremely successful. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, I think our last valuation across everything we own we're almost at B now. So we're doing very, very, yeah. I'm a billionaire. Top G's a billionaire. So we're doing extremely well. That's the first thing. The second thing, it's great that you say that because I completely agree. Because if you're born with everything, if you're born with all this money, that you have no aspiration, nothing to actually grasp onto and trying to achieve, then money doesn't make you happy. But then you can analyze this from another angle, right? We were just talking earlier, we can always pivot back to who the matrix are, who's in charge. So let me ask you.
Do you have somebody that
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
If you're born into a dynasty, let's say a banking dynasty, and you're born a billionaire, and you have everything you've ever wanted ever, and money has absolutely no value at all, and a brand new Ferrari doesn't mean a thing. You could buy one every 10 minutes for the rest of your life, and money doesn't make you happy. What's the one thing that's going to make you happy?
Controlling others.
Controlling others. Power.
Yeah.
Ego. So then you sit there and start looking at things.
Because
and going,
games become real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now you're like, okay, well, money doesn't satisfy me. What makes me feel important? Especially if you're going to add in. Let's add in another angle to it. Let's imagine you falsely believe, because it is falsely, that you're somehow genetically better than others. You're from this lineage. You're better than the other people. And the other people, the serfs and peasants, are struggling for money, and you have unlimited money because you're so smart, and your family's always been so smart.
You'll have haughty eyes.
Yeah. So then you're going to sit there and go, well, why did they make people put on a mask when they walked in the restaurant and take the mask off to eat and then put it on to go to the toilet and then take it off to eat and then put it back on? Because
I have
I'll tell you why, because it's funny.
You think it's just because it's funny?
Because it's an ego. Because it's ego.
I thought it was the test to see how far they could push something.
Compliance tests.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing. So when you really understand that people who are in charge of the world are completely, like you said, broken. There are broken people. Money can't satisfy them. People said, I
they have everything.
And I do that because it was something
They
tangible
don't have
that everybody lived through.
a soul.
It's a very easy one to reference.
This is actually, it's a bad thing that could work in your favor because now they could relate to you.
Yeah.
They went through that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to explain to a broke kid what a rich kid goes through,
Yeah.
or what a broke person goes through.
Yeah.
So this is actually a huge blessing. Do you think that COVID and people's frustration and what happened to them link them to understand your theories more?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of, when I was saying during COVID about the Matrix, everyone called me crazy. And by the end of COVID, a lot of people were like, Andrew, you nailed it, day one. Because I don't think many people understand, because I wasn't nearly as famous then, but the videos exist on the internet. Me and my brother were the kings of COVID. Everyone else now understands it was garbage. Everyone else talks tough. Everyone else has their story about how they went out during
talk
COVID.
now.
But you're tough now. On day one of COVID, day one, when they still had the people falling over in the street in China.
Yeah, what was that? That video?
Yeah.
They're just running in the street and dropping dead?
Yep. When the Italian hospital was overrun, day one, my brother and I sat down and had a conversation in our war room, our cigar lounge, which was very similar to this. And we sit down and said, if this disease will kill people like you and I, military-aged males, then the world is over. It's zombie apocalypse. So what are we going to do? And we sat there and decided whether we should hide as long as possible or we should just go out all guns blazing. So we decided to go out all guns blazing like heroes. This is all documented. It's on video. And day one of COVID, when everyone else was afraid, we flew to Sweden because it was the only open country. And we spent the next 4 months.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Because who lives in Sweden?
Very strange. We spent the next 4 months in Stockholm in 6 nights a week in nightclubs with Swedish chicks partying while the rest of the world was locked in their house. Nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about the fact that Sweden was open, no restrictions, you could do whatever you wanted.
I didn't
Nightclubs
know
were
that.
Open, everyone was partying, everyone else was locked up, not allowed to go to funerals. We were literally in parties all day, every day. I didn't even get sick, didn't even get a cold. And it was cold outside, didn't even get the sniffles. So we beat COVID. We won COVID early. So even after this experience, for the next 2 years of COVID, I'm trying to scream at people, listen, wake up. And like, oh, yeah, they wouldn't just put it on the news. They wouldn't just lie to us and try and scare us all for no reason until you understand the good and evil in the world and you understand that's how the devil actually operates. But the point I was going to make earlier about talking about how these people are broken and money doesn't satisfy them, people often say, COVID was just for money. And I say, that's actually a very optimistic view of the world. It wasn't just for money. It was for something far worse.
They have money.
They print money.
Yeah.
They make money. They are the money.
When I found out about I just learned about how they print money. I literally could not believe it.
Oh yeah, money's not real.
For 3 days, I'm sitting around, so I'm like, what the fuck is this? So they could just print this shit?
Money is not real. It's not real. They just print it. It's not real.
Fair. Please continue.
Yeah, so money's not real. And I say that to people. And they
So
go,
it's not about money.
No, it's not about money. So what's it about? It's about power and control.
Yeah.
Because when you get to a certain level of wealth, and I'll talk from my own personal experience, I want people to understand I come from the lowest possible socioeconomic background. I come from a single mother household. My father and mother broke up when I was 9. I lived in Luton, England, which is the worst town in England, to a school with a 3% pass rate. Everyone around me was stabbing each other and selling drugs.
I thought you said your father was one of the best fathers you've ever had.
He was. But my mother and father...
Because I really have a dream that, I want to talk about it because I have a dream that I don't want to see my father work anymore. I just want to see him retired, enjoying his life. I just send him the money. I don't know, I want him to chill. That's all I want to do in my life. That's my own goal, my motivation, whatever you can call it, you can call it. My mom is my motivation. I want to have my brothers. They don't need to work. You know what I mean? Like, just chill. Here you go, chill. We can do business together, my brothers, my family. You know, but I'm gonna keep trying till I retire my father. And he's gonna have everything he enjoy. He go to Mecca, I don't know, whatever he want.
Broke up and he stayed in America and I moved to England. And he wasn't financially successful, but he taught me other lessons. And I'm glad he didn't give me money because I think that a harsh upbringing and a harsh life makes a man a man. I don't think you learn a lesson any other way. But I come from the absolute bottom, and now I'm up at a position where we have a very large empire. A lot of it is shadow. Most people don't know what it is. But even our overt things, even our university and things that are online are turning over $15, $20 million a week. So we're doing crazy sums of money. So I've been from the absolute bottom to the absolute top. I've seen it all. And once you get past a certain level of wealth, once you get past a certain level of money, yeah, but then you understand what money is, right? So we say about money not being real. Money is not real from a governmental perspective because they just print it. It's nothing. But money is truthfully the story.
I also read this one. I also read it when I heard too much about it. I'm reading the book from Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm reading it, and I'm seeing like a money is illusion. So I went to check it, and it's crazy, guys. It's just crazy how money just came, and we work for it. It's just crazy, and then we are working for an illusion.
Time and energy of other people. If you have money, you have stored time and energy of other humans.
Because people are hourly rates.
That's right. Because I can take that money and make someone else use their time and energy for X thing.
Got it. So it's a different version of slavery.
Absolutely. Because if I'm going to come along and say, you're no longer my slave. As my slave, you had to work for a house and a car. You're no longer my slave. In slavery, let's actually look at slavery.
Slavery began that way.
Yeah, and slavery said, you work on my plantation, I give you somewhere to eat.
Or I'll give you my daughter.
Yeah.
This is how people would work. And that's why they were like, oh, your Bible believes in slavery. I'm like, slavery was different. It wasn't like, there was bondages. Yeah. And there was slavery. That's why the Egyptians, that's a whole different type of slave. Yeah. But the origination of slave was like a debt. I'm paying you a debt.
Yep. Completely. So let's look at even American slavery, the slavery that most Americans understand. You're going to work for me. I'm going to give you a house, and I'm going to give you food, and you're going to stay here, and you're going to work. Slavery is abolished. So now what do? You're going to work for me. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you some money, and that money is enough to only buy you a house and some food. We've just put money in the middle. Now, if I can make you do whatever I want for money, and I can print as much money as I want, you're my slave. Because I can print it from the sky, and you need it to live. So you are my slave. Money's not real. So I have all of this money. I have the stored time and energy of other humans. And once you get past a certain level of wealth, you understand, which ties back to COVID, that you're not interested in money. What you're interested in is people. It's always been about having good people around you. Doting, loving woman who's obsessed with you. You want good brothers who will stand by you and make you motivated. You want bodyguards who are going to protect you. You want people. And then You want to look at it further down the rabbit hole. You want to get more sinister. If you've been born into a lineage or a dynasty or the people who control the world, you want robot people. You don't want to be spoken to disrespectfully. In your empire, right, you now have a podcast. Would you allow a member of staff to come along and say, this is bullshit, I don't like how you do this, this is shit, you're shit? Or would you fire him?
I don't know if I would fire them. I would first try to teach them how to behave.
And if they didn't listen?
They're out.
Absolutely. So let's imagine you ran a country.
Okay.
All right. Let's imagine you ran the world. And then let's imagine there's this guy called Top G who sits down there and becomes the most Googled man in the world for telling the world that COVID's a lie. And you're making everybody run around and do everything you say. You're going to allow that person to get away with it? And now you start to understand, that's how the Matrix operates. So the people who are broken, raised on money, are so obsessed with power and control, which explains a lot of the society we're in. Because they don't